Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the DLLS Stars post-game show alongside Adam Ernie and a fully reformed Craig Ludwig, not the skeleton we saw in the pregame show. I am the stuffy, nasally congested, and possibly contagious Owen Newkirk. And Ryan Vaughters, our producer, is a safe distance from all of us tonight. But that comes off of a Stars 2-1 shootout win over the Avalanche. We're going to talk all about it. We'll break it down. We'll go through all of it. But before we do, I was going to do this anyway because it was our plan. But I know our boss, GM Ben, would be very upset if we didn't mention Jason Robertson and Wyatt Johnston and their new T-shirts tonight. I couldn't have said it better myself, Ben. New shirts, Jason Robertson and Wyatt Johnston both factored in the game tonight, but Robo with the goal, Wyatt with the shootout winner. Get those shirts today, alldls.com. Diehards get 20% off. I'm going to go into a coughing fit every time someone makes me laugh, including seeing Sam wearing that Breathe Right when we came on before we started the show. So, Sam, you channeled your inner Adam Ernie tonight. Did it work?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I was watching that game. I was breathing really good. I
love it. Lud's initial reaction to this one, a low-scoring affair, a lot of defense, but plenty of scoring chances, and I thought actually both goalies put in a great show.
Oh, Jake was first star by far. There's no question about that. I think Gully and his coaching staff will have to revisit some neutral zone problems and a couple things that I think Colorado is trying to find. They found a way to contain Dallas about getting any speed, breaking out clean. I thought that, they found a better something in the third period a little bit, but take the extra point and move on. That's what I want to.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not for Jake, that game doesn't get to overtime.
I actually thought not only was he fantastic, but he got in their heads a little bit. And then I thought Wedgie was the difference in overtime because I thought Dallas finally got going. And Sam, that was when you hear Luds talk about Gully needs to look at some neutral zone stuff. I didn't think their forecheck was super effective for a while. They got when they did get the puck in, they didn't seem to sustain it that much, but there were pockets in the game. And then in 3-on-3 overtime, and maybe it was just Miro Heiskanen, but it seemed like they were starting to take a little bit more control of things when the ice got a little bit bigger.
Yeah, that was actually a rare, exciting overtime that didn't end in overtime, right? We've seen so many games. I think I saw the other day there was like one total shot in a game for an entire 5 minutes of overtime. Some of them get a little boring, right? They're throwing it back, and they did do that. Dallas specifically, Duchesne made a great play to throw it all the way back to Oettinger. Wyatt Johnston made a good play to get it back there. But they looked like they came out and said, we're taking this point right now. They were the aggressor, I think, in overtime. But they were just not able to get, like you said, the forecheck. It was either they weren't committed to going after it and getting to the puck, or Colorado just made the play quickly. Wedgwood was great. He came out a few times and made really quick, crisp passes to get it, to get the play going the other way. They just didn't have a lot going tonight. I will say what they did have was Colorado had 30-something shots. Not a lot. Jake didn't have to be amazing.
That's a great point.
The save on McKinnon was great. Another save, I think Val had a good chance. But really, they did a great job keeping them to the outside. I haven't looked at the shot chart yet, but I'm sure it's a lot of outside chances for Colorado.
Well, Luds, the funny thing about that is I'm really glad Sam brought that up because Colorado clearly had the advantage in shots and shot attempts and possession. But we played that clip in the pregame show. McKinnon sort of bemoaning their being too much on the perimeter. Well, again, my counting, take it or leave it. By the end of the night, I had until overtime, I had the high danger chances as even, and then the Stars had the couple of best ones in overtime. It wasn't for all the shots and all the chances in possession. Dallas really didn't lose their structure very often. I think that may be the one thing that they'll take away defensively is that they conceded the puck a lot, but they didn't let Colorado get interior as much as they probably would have liked.
Yeah, well, which is part of what they're becoming. what they are is they're a possession offensive team that, they weren't so much tonight. Again, that some credit's got to obviously go to the Avs the way that they played them. I mean, they found something in some structure, like I said earlier. So, I thought that if you get your other two guys in the lineup, it's probably a little bit of a different story, especially on the power play. That they found ways lately to score goals without them, but when you get up against some of these teams, you're going to need that. You're going to have to kind of put the fear into them a little bit more. And I think when you get Hintz and obviously Mikko back, it'll make a big difference.
A huge difference. And you go to the power play tonight. I didn't think the Stars had as many opportunities as they should have. I thought there were some questionable calls there, but especially Luds, that one when they got called for too many men, Colorado.
Too many. Too many.
Way too many.
Yeah.
I thought they really missed Mikko Rantanen on the ice that time, which hasn't always been the case, but this one looked like the Avalanche prepared for that and said, okay, we're going to make you work it around the perimeter, which is something you don't want to do when Mikko's out there. But that seemed to sort of befuddle the Stars power play a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, they've seen him enough. I mean, whether he's in the lineup and Hintz is in the lineup or not, I think both teams have a book on what they do. And as far as Colorado does, and again, we said the thing about Colorado, they never have anybody in front of the net. I mean, it's all perimeter. So at least Dallas has got guys around there. There's the threat. Wyatt, even from where Wyatt is versus to where, say, Natchez is out a lot higher. And Wyatt's in there a little bit tighter, and it sucks a couple more guys in there, opens other things up for you.
When you look, Sam, at this performance, obviously they got the win, and you're happy about that. I would be too. I am happy. I felt like in the game in Dallas, they had more so it was 2 weeks ago, right? It was right after the same day as the trade deadline. It felt like the Stars had more attack, more aggressive, especially the first period. They jumped out to that 3-1 lead, even after they gave up a power play goal right at the end of the period, which was its own thing. Then they get a Jamie Benn goal. They've got a 2-goal lead again. Kind of felt like they sat back a little bit, partly due to some penalties, partly because the Avalanche pushed. Tonight, I just didn't feel like there were some moments in that second period that were good. The Stars created some chances, but they weren't. It didn't feel like there was a lot of sustained, like Dallas is on the attack and pushing Colorado back like we saw a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, you know what I wonder? When they went to Denver in the second game, they said they didn't have their legs, which was an interesting one, right? Because it was so early in the season. It's a weird one to not have your legs.
Literally game 2 of the season.
Yeah, I wonder if that was the case again. They didn't look slow to me, to be honest with you. They just looked like they were a step behind Colorado, which a lot of teams are because Colorado is extremely fast. Colorado, Lud said it perfectly. They played great. They really did. They played a really connected hockey. They gave Dallas a whole lot of nothing. They stood up on their own blue line and they attacked off the rush a ton. But on the flip side of it, maybe Dallas knew either we don't have our legs or we know against this team without the players we have, we maybe just don't match up head to head right now. And they did a great job of just playing the game that was in front of them, right? Like it didn't matter that they were taking on water. How many times did McKinnon wind up and it looked like, here we go, highlight reel, NHL.com. And then Lindell just kind of pushed him to the side and didn't give him much. Or Thomas Harley kind of boxed him out to the outside and forced him and didn't turn in anything. I give Dallas a lot of credit for just taking what the game was, not trying to change too much, not trying to get out of their structure, and just forcing Colorado to the outside, like I was saying. And McKinnon got a little bit frustrated. They started trying to throw shots from sharp angles, and it was just easy turnovers. So while it wasn't their perfect game, they weren't playing as connected offensively. I do give them credit for just kind of saying, let's play the game that's in front of us and try to win it. And they did.
Yeah, Colorado did things 100, 150 feet away from their net that slowed Dallas down. They gave them nothing exiting. They gave them nothing through the neutral zone. And then they didn't respect their skill and their speed at the offensive blue line, mainly because, there's a couple guys missing. So they stood up. I mean, there wasn't space when you got from the center line to the offensive blue line. There really wasn't any opportunities to create outnumbered rushes. Number one, they had guys coming back, but they held the line, and it just really. They got in, they kept them on the perimeter for the most part and shut them down on the perimeter on the outside of the rink, and then they were able to go the other way at times.
Hey, Sam, there's been a couple of people in the chat wondering, can you just explain your joke? Because someone was genuinely concerned that you might have broken your nose.
What joke? Oh, this?
No,
No,
that-
I'm using a breathe right for two reasons. One, because I'm sick and need it. Two, because Adam Ernie was using it and saying a bunch of players were wearing it in Denver tonight for the altitude. So kind of a
the
mixed
chat
bag.
was worried that they missed something.
No, I did not bring my nose. This was not a Ritz-Covian fight either. This was a puppy bite this morning that led to gushing blood in my bed. So just
Dog
look out
stuff,
for that.
lads. Dog
Sam,
stuff.
Sam, can you go on the IR twice in the same
Yeah, push through it, push right through it.
When you look back at this game, did they won? I'm not trying to say we shouldn't feel good about it. Did this one feel? I felt almost as if you noticed a little bit more about the Stars players out. I know the Avalanche also were missing a couple of very important players. In fact, 3 or 4, right? Because they haven't had Logan O'Connor all year. If he comes back, which it sounds like he's trending toward that, that's a big lift for their bottom 6. Ross Colton, of course, is a regular for them. The 2 big ones, of course, are Landeskog and Lehkonen. Missing those 2, I think, really, they're a lot deeper in their top 6, obviously, when those 2 are there. But I don't know if you guys think I'm overthinking this. This performance tonight felt like a little bit more top half, bottom half for the Stars forwards, in the sense that in previous wins during the point streak, I think somebody even made the comment of, when you're really rolling because all 4 lines start to look the same and everybody's contributing, you're getting little opportunities here and there. It felt like the bottom 6, granted, Bastian had the shot that went off the post for the goal. I just didn't feel like they were necessarily generating a whole lot. It felt like if it wasn't coming from Johnston, Robertson, Duchesne, really, it wasn't happening much. Do you agree?
Yeah, quite a bit. There wasn't a lot there. I mean, you're leaning on your so-called top guys, and your top guys aren't there. So again, take the 2 points and leave.
So that's my second question then. Is it okay for them to play sort of batten down the hatches, grind it out defensively in Colorado? Because it feels like they don't do that even in most road games. They're more aggressive. I don't know if it's the altitude, Sam was talking about their legs earlier, or if it's simply because of the style the Avs play. Yeah. That's how they feel they have to attack that or defend it when they go on the road in Denver.
I don't think they battened down the hatches. I just think they weren't given enough. They couldn't generate what they would like to against a team that appeared to be playing downhill quite a bit. And again, like I think that the Avs did something from the standpoint of structure. I've said that 3 times now. So they did something that they see that they like. Now, again, what do we talk about at playoff times?
Adjustments.
Here you go. So now Glenn Gullickson and his group will, they'll look at this game and they'll get another one, I believe, one more, right? One more
in early April.
Yeah. So
alumni weekend, lads.
Oh, okay. So they'll have time to figure that out, but that won't be their worry come first round, I doubt. But we'll see.
Sam, how are you feeling about aside from your nose? And,
Sam, how are you feeling in general?
And your illness?
I'm a little tired.
Okay, but emotionally, how do you feel about this game?
You know what? I'm just, as Lud said, take the points. I don't think this game was going to be perfect. They have played a lot of good hockey without their best players. There's going to be games where you just didn't have a ton of it. The fact that they didn't create a lot, didn't have their best game, and stole 2 points. I mean, they didn't get the regulation would have been the only thing better, right? Obviously, don't let Colorado get a point. You're only 1 back, but you're 2 points back at Colorado now with 1 game in hand and 1 head-to-head still left. You went into Denver in this big, hyped-up national game matchup. And like I said, didn't play your best hockey. Yes, Jake was fantastic. Stopped 33 or 34, maybe one of his better games of the whole season. But you went in there and you found a way. And I think I'm starting to appreciate that more and more because we know the Stars can play playoff hockey. We've seen it. They played it over the streak. They're not going to do it every night. And the fact that they came into that game the way they did, some of the penalties, I don't complain about refs. I'm told I'm a ref lover. So the fact that I'm getting, some embellishment calls and tripping call or hooking calls, I don't think needed to happen. They overcome those. They find a way to still get in the game. I give them a ton of credit. I think Blood said it perfectly. Take the 2 points, get on your way to Minnesota.
All right, let's get to break here and let's talk about the game. We'll break it down. Sam, I think you bring up a great point. I think we should discuss a couple of the officiating decisions tonight because I didn't necessarily agree with all of them either. Jamie Benn sure didn't. We'll talk about that much more. And guess what? GM Ben was just gifted a Supporters Club membership from TO. He got one. So fire up the Luds emoji, Ben, because he is apparently in Galveston all liquored up tonight, getting ready for a cruise. The post-game show continues in a moment on DLLS. Let's talk about property taxes and, of course, more specifically, own well. What would you do if you could save some extra money on your property taxes? What would it do for you? Could you book a vacation, maybe afford more home improvement projects? Do you have ones that would be easier with the time and money that you saved because of OwnWell previously? Well, if you've already used OwnWell, you don't need to hear from me, but you really should, because you can save money on some of the highest property taxes in the country, that's Texas, by using OwnWell. It's so easy to sign up. It only takes a few minutes, and they will do the rest. That's right. You don't have to do the work. They do it. They will protest your county tax assessment, and they can determine whether your eligibility for exemptions. There's a whole bunch of exemptions in Texas. 88% of OwnWell's customers get their assessed values reduced and save money on their property taxes, including an average savings of $774. Save time and money on your property taxes with OwnWell. Only pay if you save. Go to ownwell.com/Texas to learn more. That's OWNWELL.com/Texas. TCU fans, the Horned Frogs are heading to Ireland to take on North Carolina to kick off the 2026 football season. True Fan Travel took all the guesswork out of trip planning and laid out an amazing week of events, food, drink, and of course the game, all for you. And you know what? There's even an optional golf add-on if you want to try to hit the links while you're in Ireland. Guaranteed game tickets, all-inclusive tailgates, a welcome party for TCU fans. Of course, you can get unlimited food, drinks, and live entertainment near the stadium. Pep rally with food, drinks, and live entertainment the night before the game. Private group tours. We're talking about some of the great spots around Ireland. Game day transportation to and from the stadium, and much more. It is such a great spot. You have to check this out. TCU versus UNC at Aer Lingus College Football Classic in Dublin, Ireland, with flexible payment options. All these perks, head over to truefantravel.com and lock in your spot today. All right, before we get into the breakdown, I mentioned that Jake Oettinger has now successfully extended his point streak to 13 games in a row, 12-0-1. He has not lost a game in regulation since that mid-January game, the 18th, a Sunday against the Tampa Bay Lightning, which incidentally, Sam, is kind of that demarcation line that Gully said the team started to realize the way they wanted to play versus the way they had been playing to that point.
Yeah, I think he talked about Tampa and Florida, right, as the two benchmarks, and you start to, I think he uses the word breadcrumbs a lot. Talks about teams that win leave breadcrumbs, and you start to see, okay, maybe we need to take a little bit of that. Maybe we need to take a little bit of that. They've started to take a little bit of what Florida does, and we talked about it in the pregame show. Tampa doesn't take crap from anyone, just like Buffalo doesn't. Dallas is trying to be one of those teams, and that turned around the way they play the game, right? It didn't just, wins aside, they play a different style of game since that point, and that was a very honest meeting they had to turn that around after that Tampa game.
All right, so let's start our breakdown tonight. We don't have a lot of goals because it was a 2-1 shootout win for the Stars, but we do have lots of things we can talk about. It started with a Thomas Harley turnover that led to a Val Nichushkin partial breakaway. I thought Jake looked really sharp early, which is good. Luds, when you saw Harley turn that one over and Val start to steam that train down the wing and toward the net, what were you thinking?
Oh, Thomas. Honestly, that was the other thing. Sometimes I think, and Thomas doesn't do this a lot, but sometimes he tries to force a couple things and force a extra little stick handle or maybe a thread the needle on a pass. But again, I think for players like that just kind of comes with territory. I mean, we've seen Cale Makar, one of the best, in the game. We've seen Quinn Hughes do it, but unfortunately, they make so many good plays that they outweigh that odd one at the time. So, but again, that's why you got a goalie back there. Isn't that Thomas? I think that's his best friend back there, right?
Yeah.
Just getting Jake all warmed up. get you into the game early.
Don't call him that, otherwise Harley's going to get traded.
Yeah, that's been a running gag with Ty Dellandrea and then Mason Marchment both getting shipped away. The first period did not have a lot of scoring chances in it. In fact, I didn't think that the Avs had that many more, but then they get a power play. And I thought, guys, that the Stars' penalty kill looked great until the goal. The problem was they couldn't get that whistle, that clear, that change, and they just got tired. And Lud, you could break it down. The give and go between Makar and Kadri against a tired group that had been out there working really hard for over a minute and a half or so, kind of caught up to him.
Sam, who's your favorite player again?
49.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's go, man. I thought it was a trick question. I was trying to think of the joke.
They're just simple ones for you. I keep it simple.
Nailed it.
I play the KISS system with you.
Ask me again.
Simple.
Ask me again. Let's run it back.
Okay. Sam, who's your favorite player?
Justin Ritzkovian.
You got it right.
Okay, so since we're talking about this particular goal, I was actually texting back and forth with Chris Chelik while he was
on the TNT panel tonight.
Well, and I was saying number 49 is he's a little ever-ready bunny. And on this particular play, when Ritzy comes out to all people Makar, he comes out at Mach 1. And he's coming out too fast. And he doesn't have to. All you have to do is stay in the lane, because we've seen Makar. He won't necessarily try to drill it into your path. But what happens is once he comes out so hard, he didn't go down the right way anyways. But what does Makar do? He moves it down to the goal line. Then Makar takes a step in. He just basically says, okay, this cat's laying on his butt. I'm just going to step into the slot. And that's how the whole play opens up. Once that happens, you can see where Ritzy will be chasing back to him. And again, it's just, you can, when you're killing a penalty, especially for forwards, and I immediately thought of Guy Carbonneau, and Carbo would never do something like that. But again, a little different style. Carbo would have just gone down and take up space, and that would be it. And then he would get Makar to move the puck someplace else. But by forcing one of the best guys on the blue line in the game, you give them a couple options. So, and they played him fine after that. But this particular one, he came out so hard and was trying to go down and do everything. He just overtried. Let's put it that way. I mean, the intent was all there to do the right thing. It was just the guy that you're going up against is a little bit skilled than, you may have realized at that particular moment.
Do you make anything of the fact that of all the frustrations that Colorado has had this season with their power play, that they've been successful against the Stars, even though the Stars penalty kill has been generally very good?
Yeah, I do. Well, I do, but I just think I don't find. I mean, they've got great players, right? I mean, they got 2 or 3 good players on it. I just don't understand why they don't want to put somebody in front of the goaltender and try to take their vision away. They're to me, they're a little bit predictable, and that's crazy to say when the guy that moves around a lot is Natchez, and when they try to find him there, I think they have good players on there, but there's probably, of the 2 minutes that zone time that they would have, or any particular time, how many times you could probably just pause it and you'll see 3 guys at least on the outside of the rink. And I think that, again, it's not that they don't have smart coaches in there, but that's the way they play. And where is their power play ranked, by the way? It's not very good, is it?
30th, I believe.
Yeah. And I would say
they scored 4 in 3 games against us.
and after that, you played some clips on in the beginning, and after all that kind of talk and McKinnon's perimeter stuff like that, one of the areas I thought that we wouldn't see perimeter was on their power play. I figured they'd have the guy that I think that makes a difference when they're out there, and I don't even know if I saw him on the power play tonight, is Val. When Val gets to the front of the net, he's a big man and he's hard to move from there. And I'm sure when Jake Oettinger is looking out and he can clearly see where everybody is, he's a happier goaltender.
Luds, he played 0.00 of the power play tonight. What do you think that says?
I don't know if it's because Kadri's there. I'm not sure. I mean, Nelson, Natchez, Makar. I mean, you got good players out there.
Great players.
You don't have to me, they don't have the guy that can set up on top of the crease and get the goaltender to look up over that. And Val's a big guy, and I know Jake is too, but get him to stand up and look over the top. And I shouldn't say any of this stuff. It's not like they listen to us, but
no, they wouldn't.
I just think it would be more difficult for goaltenders.
Sam, let's talk about that call. Jamie Benn gets called for holding Brock Nelson. You could see, if you're not even a very prolific amateur lip reader, you could see Jamie was not happy with that decision.
Yeah, I always stick with if the player truly doesn't know it's them, there's probably something there, right? It's one thing when they're arguing, players argue every call. It's never a penalty if you're an NHL player. But
that's right.
When Jamie Benn was changing, he was going onto the bench and then looked over surprised. Robert Tiffin and I have talked about this a bunch over the last couple of weeks. So many calls in the NHL are made because of the angle of the official who calls it, right? Like there were a couple of calls in the Detroit game at home where it's not a penalty from straight on, and you look, and the linesman that was right there looking at it doesn't call it, but the linesman way in the back corner is only seeing the backside of it calls it. That's the same situation there. I believe it was the linesman in the corner that called that because he's looking at the back of Jamie Benn, which if you're looking at his back, it looks like Jamie Benn's bear hugging and pulling him down. If you're not looking at the back and you have an angle of it, they're both grabbing onto each other and holding and kind of clenching the arms, and they both just go down. It's an easy no call, but you can see how they get tricked so much, right? Because all you can see is that, and you got to make the call that you can see. But I don't think it was the right call.
Of the ones,
Nelson's a veteran player.
Yeah.
He knew he was up against the boards. They're up against the boards. And what he does is he takes his arm and he puts it over the top of Jamie's, and then he pulls it in. You just keep your arm in tight and you go down. And, again, if you get the call, you get the call. It's not going to be embellishment. And that's why Jamie was going. He's holding me. He was holding me. And it's exactly what was happening. He was.
Of the calls, there's two more I want to bring up. Of the three incidents I want to discuss, that was the one I had the least problem with, because while I completely agree with Sam's point that it was probably a leave it alone, I could see why, look, it was a battle, looked like it went down fine. You got a little fooled, but whatever. The next one is the embellishment call, right? So we're fast forwarding. We're going to get back to some of the scoring chances and the goals in our next segment, but we have Michael Bunting with 19 seconds left in the period, getting the jump right at the blue line on Cale Makar, gets past him. Makar realizes he's beat, sticks out his body, interferes with him. Bunting goes down, and the referee immediately points to both and says, both of you in the box. So we gave it interference and embellishment. Sam, did you like the call?
No, for two reasons. One, I'm very curious if Bunting has a reputation for this.
Yes, he does.
That's what it looked like to me, was that's Michael Bunting, that's Mikko Rantanen, whatever it is, you're both going. That was my assumption. I assumed he did, just kind of the player that he is, always played on the edge. But the other thing, I strongly believe that 9 times out of 10, it's either a penalty or it's an embellishment. I think there are some calls where you're like, hey, that's both. That's clearly a high stick, but you didn't need to sell it. But correct me if I'm wrong here, Luds. In my opinion, if you want to stop players from embellishing, if you don't call the initial penalty and just call the embellishment and you go down and get a power play, the other team gets a power play, that should stop guys from doing it. No? If you just go 4-on-4, it's like, okay, yeah, I didn't get away with that one. They're going to keep doing it. So I think it's either way. It should be that, but I also don't think that was embellishment. So either way, I don't think it's penalty.
Why not take $5,000 from them for an embellishment call
or that? Yeah,
they all make a ton of money.
Yeah,
and then put them on the front page on the NHL channel. Embellishment.
This guy's a diver.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and again, he did. His left leg just doesn't kind of go out backwards for nothing. I mean, he did, but it wasn't one of these where your gloves come off, and you know what I mean? Like it was, again, it's what you do in a game like that. He just happened to have a referee that was in the particular spot, and and I do think that they see a good game going on for the most part. They would prefer not to have the game decided one way or the other.
It drives me nuts that they
they
affect the game by trying not to affect the game.
Is it just that one is so much easier to call? Because most of the time we call embellishment, it's something like that. It's an interference. It's a hook where they go down. But like the amount of times I've seen, speaking of the Avalanche, Makar take a high stick that like clips the side of their helmet and their head snaps back and their glove goes in the air. And I'm like, why is that not the same call? So
I agree.
I think it's just easier to call ones where the guy goes down because it looks so obvious. You see Mikko Rantanen's skate come out in front of him, and you're like, that's not how it works.
Don't you think sometimes there's different levels for superstars than there are for some other guys?
Oh yeah.
Well, we have one more to talk about. Let's do it quickly. It's the Tyler Myers call. And officially, this one was called for hooking. Luds, I'm okay. I would say with the Jamie Benn call, I didn't like, obviously we can see what Nelson's doing, but I'm going, fine. This looks like a perfectly reasonable defensive play in front of the net. And it was, to me, big man against little man syndrome, where the referee goes, oh my goodness, even though there didn't look like there was anything wrong with that exchange.
Nothing. I saw nothing there. Yeah. Sometimes you just get punished for being bigger than somebody else.
Yeah. By the way, I thought he was great tonight in a lot of ways. I thought Myers did a really good job. This was the most physical I've seen him, where he just enforced his will behind the net. I mean, he absolutely leveled Parker Kelly twice.
Well, one of them, Kelly tried to hit him and bounced off him, so that didn't work very well.
But there was one play where the puck goes behind the net. Bischel shuts off his guy, ends the play. Myers pushes his guy out of the way, pulls the puck out of the circle, and it's an easy exit. That's where you start to really see that size and reach, as Luz was talking about, come into play. I like their
what I think is nice for Tyler is, again, he's got an opportunity coming from the dungeon and being able to play in the postseason. And so he's all excited about that. He gets to, now he's playing with, another guy, a young kid that I think they feel he could mentor a little bit. They can be a good pair. They're becoming a good pair. Right in the beginning, I said, I just think these two guys with their reach and their size are going to make it difficult to get there. But I think that where he's at right now, he can be a bit of a mentor for Leon. And I think he's helping him out there. And you know what? He doesn't have to be the Tyler Myers that was the first rounder and that had all these big expectations about him. And he's gone all these years and he spent a bunch of time over there. He can just go there and play hockey now. And he doesn't have to do special things. He doesn't have to go. We saw, what was that, a game or two ago where we saw him go down to the other end of the rink, made a nice little move. Game. So he's got that stuff in him.
He does.
He doesn't have to do that because he's got Heiskanen that can do that. He's got Harley that can do that. I'm not that guy here. I can just settle in. I can be physical. I can play that kind of a game that they need, what they're looking for. And I would think that there was probably a conversation with them, whether it's from Jim or from Gully or both, and saying, this is what we're looking for. We're looking, we don't know where you're going to play, who you're going to play with. And we get 18, 20 minutes out of you. That's awesome. Get you out there on the PK. Probably not going to see the power play. Get some PK time, hit a few people, get the hell off the ice, and let number 4 get back out there.
Sam, did you like watching Maverick Bourque get into it with Marty Necas having that whistle?
I did.
I figured you did.
Maverick was feisty. I like, you know what I say before we go to the break? Maverick has shown me, we've talked about him a ton, obviously, but the thing I've noticed the most, he has like 1 or 2 extra seconds of patience that he didn't have before. Like he will pull up he'll pull up on the wall and he'll just take that 1 extra pause and make the right play. Whereas last year and even early in the season, he pulls up on the wall, he looks up and he's kind of jumpy and he makes a play and turns it over or throws a simple shot on net. I've loved the ability for him to take that extra second, and Ritzkovian's done the exact same thing. So that's good to see confidence in those young players.
There's the word. Confidence is a pretty important thing, isn't it? And you know that you make that play, you're not coming off that top line right now.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, let's talk about the second period, the third period, overtime, shootout, all that fun here on the DLLS Stars postgame show. Wild Fork Food Meat and Seafood Market has over 700 items for sale, including 500 at under $10 a pound. If you've never heard or never been into Wild Fork Foods Meat and Seafood Market, you might think, gee, what do they sell? Well, actually, that's the best place to go in and get your beef, poultry, seafood, pork, even the exotic stuff like ostrich, rabbit, alligator. They have 250 cuts of meat, seafood, and it is all in great condition. They blast freeze everything, which actually maintains freshness. It's true. And I've had things like their brisket, their chimichurri outskirt steak. Oh my goodness. The outside skirt steak was so wonderful. I can't even speak it properly. Locations in Plano, Frisco, North Richland Hills, Flower Mound, Wiley, Addison, Las Colinas, Prosper, and Louisville. Frozen is fresher at Wild Fork Foods Meat and Seafood Market. They have the most friendly butchers and everyday low prices. They even have side dishes and desserts. Check them out today, 9 area DFW locations, and go on to the web at wildforkfoods.com. AirDNA is the leader in data on short-term rentals. Think Airbnb. And they just released a free calculator to see how much you can make renting your home out for the World Cup. In case you haven't heard or been living under a rock, the World Cup is coming to the United States, Canada, Mexico, and North Texas, aka Dallas, Arlington. Of course, it's AT&T Stadium. They're calling it Dallas Stadium, hosting more matches than any other host city in the tournament. 9 matches, including one of the semifinals, will be in DFW. So this is a great opportunity for you to make money by turning your home into a short-term rental where you can maybe take that money and remodel a bathroom, buy a new patio, go on a dream vacation, pay off some bills, mortgage, trim it down a little, maybe even save for your kids' college. It's a once-in-a-lifetime tourism event that is driving this demand, so don't sit on the sidelines. Listen to the sound of my voice. If you think you want to get that new patio, or maybe you spend it on Stars season tickets or go on vacation, all you have to do is check out airdna.co/stars to find out how much you can save. airdna.co/stars. Whew, I had to take off the Finnish Mafia hoodie. It's so comfortable, but it's also really warm. And I give
you mad props for recording 4 ad reads when you sound like you do. That's pretty good.
Isn't the dumbest thing when you hear me say, listen to the sound of my voice? Don't listen. It sounds hard. All right, let's keep going here, guys. Second period now. Stars down 1-0. Wyatt Johnston had 2 really good looks right away. One on a 2-on-1 with Robo. Then he got his own rebound, came around the back of the net, and they decided they wanted to defend everybody else, and so he had another chance on Wedgwood. He was denied there. Then Nazem Kadri a little bit later got a rebound from a Brent Burns shot. Otter and Essa Lindell combined to keep that one out. Matt Duchesne on a bad bounce off the end boards had a point-blank chance on Wedgwood. All of those were kept out. So too was Nathan Bastian's shot, but Jason Robertson was there for the finish to tie it up at 1. This came at 6:18 of the second period, his 37th goal of the year, but I'm pretty sure it's the first one where the stat line reads Robertson from Bastian and Harley.
Isn't it funny how goal scorers always seem to be in the right place at the right time? They just have those instincts and where shots come from, and if they hit a pad, they have a general vicinity, and so it looked like Robo was excited that he scored that goal too. You know, I mean, a lot of time it was a big goal for him. He knew that and tie that game up in that kind of a game, but to be able to get it off the stick and get enough on it, and you know, Wedgie almost made that play, but
he did.
Yeah, he did. So I just think that. And, you know, a lot of other guys would probably skate as we're looking this. Look at where he just kind of hangs out. Why would I go to the middle of the ice? Because even if I get it, there's nothing I can do there. So, but he understands where the shot is coming from, and then he just spots it quickly, and then he knows exactly where he's got to go with it, and he gets it off the stick quick. That was the other thing. He doesn't let Wedgwood, get a little more time to recover. But we've seen him score some goals from some crazy angles, and this is another one. And you can see how he doesn't get a ton on it. Right, but he gets just enough to get it there, and that's why he gets it off quick.
The Stars probably should have had the lead when Oscar Beck gets in behind the defense, and he actually beats Scott Wedgwood, but he clangs it off the right post. I thought it was a pretty darn good play. The problem is it's Oscar Beck, right? He's not your goal scorer. Great look, clang.
Yeah, really good play by Sam Steele too. I can't remember where he got the puck from. I think it was chipped off the wall, and he picks it up, and he had 2 Colorado skaters closing in on him. It looked like he was going to get closed off, turn it over, maybe dump it in, and all of a sudden he kind of threw this blind backhand pass right across the slot to Oscar Beck, and Beck was in pretty much alone, right? It was a mini breakaway.
Yeah, behind the D.
He's I'm not going to say he's becoming Sam Steele, because he's always been that as well. Now he's not.
That's actually an insult to Sam Steele's.
He's not expected
double-digit goals.
He's not expected to score, and he's not being put on a top line, which is why no one cares that he's not scoring goals. But he does have a tough time finishing when he gets in those areas.
The next chance in the final one of the second period of note was the Nathan McKinnon wide open in the slot. This was the 10 bell save for Jake Oettinger. And one of my favorite things was after he had to find the puck up his sleeve, he still did the little flip, tossing it toward the circle.
That's his trademark, isn't it?
It is, right? Signature move.
And that's
save?
probably one that McKinnon's probably thinking, really? Like, and I'm thinking he felt that Jake was he didn't pick a spot. He just wanted to get up quick because he didn't think Jake could get to it. But it was a great save by him.
Yeah, Henrik Lundqvist said in the intermission that he teaches that at his goalie school. He says this is the new trick for rebound control. You just throw the puck off your sleeve.
Yeah, why not? It's a hidden puck trick. So that's where we get to the Bunting and Makar play, which led to 4-on-4 hockey to start the third period. And then the Stars get the Myers penalty, which gives them the power play that we see a Makar wrist shot in the slot hit the right post. And then Marty Necas had a one-timer from the right slot. I thought that was a really good save by Oettinger. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that also the power play where Necas got absolutely knocked off his skates onto his rear end and maybe even caught his head on the ice a little bit with a helmet from a really good Sam Steele hit.
Yeah, it's tough play, Luds. I'm sure you know, jumping up to get a puck with your glove.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty exposed, but good for Steele, right? He didn't wait for it. He didn't look and kind of wait for him to make a play. He went straight through his chest, made a good play, and sent the puck down.
All right, so let's blame Luds here. He said it in the game show. Might as well talk about overtime and a shootout, right? And so here we go. Off to overtime. And this actually was one of the more entertaining 3-on-3s we've seen in a while. Back and forth, but particularly for the Stars. I had tracked at 6-2 scoring chances. Miro had a great look on the rush early. Wedgwood made a really good save there. And then Robo on that wraparound, I thought was the best of the 4 he had in overtime. But he was there. Harley had a good look. I think Harley's backhander that hit Wedgwood was actually, he was trying to float it across. What'd you guys think of the Ritzkovian Steele partnership with the 3-on-3?
I think it was Ritzkovian. Who was with them?
Harley.
It was Harley, right? Harley came out for Miro or something like
that.
So
I see Ritzy, I see Steele, and I go, okay, who do they put out on defense with those two?
You know what's funny is I said the same. I was like, all right, they're clearly not looking for offense in this one. And then Ritzkovian kind of dances a couple guys to the middle.
Did a little move.
I was like, all right, never mind. Maybe they are.
And then he decided not to shoot and dropped it back for Harley. I wanted to see if he was going to go all the way there, but it didn't happen. So we go to the shootout, and I mean, first and foremost, Jake looked dialed in, right? He didn't fall for anything. He was on all 3. Boom, boom, boom. Nothing doing. Wedgie made it felt like the exact same save against Robo in the first shooter. And that move by Wyatt, that was nice. Third shooter steps up, picks his spot. Boom. That's how the Stars win the game.
Hey, speaking of Robo, isn't that the very same move he tried last time on him?
I think so.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, he's going 5-hole on this one. He's going 5-hole.
My personal thought, I'll ask Robo about this when they get back. My personal thought is that he knows Wedgwood knows him, and he's overthinking it because he's not going with his first move. He's not even going with his second move. He's going to his last resort backhand move, and he's kind of just flinging it. He's not even placing it in a perfect spot. The first one, that trade deadline game, was flat, and Wedgwood got his glove on it. This one he elevates, but you can see he's just kind of throwing it. He's not Jason Robertson picking the top corner. I just personally think that he's kind of overthinking it with Wedgwood because he doesn't go here, he doesn't go here, he doesn't go here, and he backs himself into a corner. But man, how good was Wedgwood tonight?
He was really good.
Speaking of all over it, he was all over it too.
I mean, the way that Wedgie played, Luds, is there anything in your mind that suggests that he shouldn't be their starter right now over Mackenzie Blackwood?
No, nothing.
Yeah.
I think every time we've seen him, he's been great. Well,
I mean, and you heard the crowd, right? Everyone yelling Wedgie, Wedgie. Like they're into it too. Good for him. Hopefully they give a lot more teams fits. But the Stars get the win tonight in the shootout, so they creep.
I thought they were saying Woody.
I bet you did.
Basically the same.
The nice thing about it for the Stars is they draw a little bit closer. Their magic number, I know this is silly, but coaches always say, until I see that X next to my team's name, we're not really thinking about anything. Guess what? Stars' magic number to clinch a playoff spot is 7 points. And that's a combination between points they win and the team, which would be the highest team outside of a playoff spot in the West, dropping points. So they are very close to clinching. Long way to go to be maybe first place in the Central, which would most likely be a President's Trophy by the end of it. But first job, Luds, you got to clinch a playoff spot. Then worry about where you're going to go after that.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many concerns about that playoff spot. They're trying to hunt down Colorado, and they kind of know one of the two spots they're finishing in, right? And so
exactly,
they prefer to be at the top, and so we'll see where it goes from here.
But this is the way to live, and we've talked about this before. But too many of the years that I've been covering the Stars, either working for the team or now DLS. Well, DLS, it has not been this case, but for many of the years I was with the Stars, they were on the bubble. They were in that wild card position, in or out, with the exception of basically 2015-16, where they won the West and were great. Most of the years were kind of living that. You lose a couple games, now you're really sweating it. Now you win a couple games, now you're feeling good again. It's a hard existence, right? All those teams that are in and around that as you approach the trade deadline, you don't know whether or not you can make that move. Is it worthwhile? What if we make the trade, give up our first-round pick, and then we miss the playoffs? It's a lot easier to be trying to fight it out for the top of the division, knowing you're pretty much guaranteed to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Especially because how many times Dallas lost 5 or 6 in a row that one year under Hitch, maybe?
Well, there was a bad fall off.
Yeah, I think Kari got hurt or Ben Bishop got hurt.
I want to say it was in February.
Yeah, and that happens. Or I remember watching games in 2014, somewhere around there, where they were last game of the year, they had to get a point to get in. It's a stressful thing for fans. It's a stressful thing for players. And then, Luds, I'm sure you probably put so much effort into it. You get to the playoffs and you might not have anything left in the tank because you're basically playing playoff hockey from February on just to try to get in a playoff spot. So while Dallas isn't coasting by any means, they're able to focus on just playing better hockey and not as much worrying about the points.
Yeah, you're always, every game is pressure packed because you can't lose a game and fall behind. And next thing you know, you're looking up again. And so, yeah, where they're at right now is a lot easier to work on the details of your game. And you pretty much know one of the two opponents you're going to be playing in the first round and second round.
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys something on the other side of the break of where you go from here if you're in the Avalanche perspective. But we have a couple of live reads first, so stick around. Post-game show continues here on DLLS.
We really shouldn't have to go to a live read. We should be able to play what I used in the pregame show because I believe I pulled up the Robo and the Wyatt shirts. And I said that we're going to need a goal from Robo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think you would think that our producer would be on top of that. And
shots fired.
And so Robo came through, and so did Wyatt, by the way. So,
what was that, Lud? Say that again.
Sometimes I get a little anal.
Well, I'm just
start coughing.
It's funny he can clip something like that, but he can't clip the Nostradamus. And you know what we didn't touch on in the pregame show? The only thing we didn't touch on, even though I did call the 2 goal scores, was Sam's hats. We probably ought to take a quick look.
That's true. The DLS Sam hats.
We didn't talk about. There's the caddy hat over there on the left, and then obviously the favorite white one on the right, and it is you now, Sam.
We need a DLS Santa hat is what we need. But if you want one of these hats and a DLS Santa hat when we come out with it, you need to become a diehard because then you get 20% off of those things, as well as all of the merch, all the shirts Les is talking about, the black one, the green one, the other black one, the other green one, or all the amazing shirts we have here. I think we have another one coming out soon. So,
hey, Sam, are you familiar with the diehard only bracket challenge for the NCAA tournament?
No, I'm not. Why don't you tell me about it, Owen Newkirk from DLS?
If you are a diehard, you can go to the Discord, and I believe the games start today, but in about 10 or 11 hours, you can sign up for a totally free. Wow. No, it's for bragging rights and I believe some prizes for the winner or winners. I'm not sure exactly how Ryan set this up, but we have a Neil Graham autographed puck and apparently a Craig Ludwig signed hockey card.
Oh,
the booby prize?
Is it that card that we got?
The one that we got from Claritas. Yeah.
Nice.
So go to, if you haven't already, go to
jersey
the
logo.
Diehard Only Discord Lounge. Go to the Stars channel in it, and you should be able to find I believe it's an ESPN league There's a login so you can join that and be part of the bracket. And if you haven't already, T.O. already has. He wants to win it.
It's not as easy as you're making it sound, because Ryan sent it to me a day or so ago, and I tried getting in.
Oh, no.
Whatever you're supposed to do, and I thought I'm getting punked here. So
someone just said Lud's hockey card worthless.
I love it. What we should do is have Ryan go pick by pick and fill it in for you, so that you don't have to figure it out.
It almost looked like you could just let it do it for you. Just hit an auto select or something like that. I couldn't even get it.
Pick the higher seed always. All right, Luds, we talked a lot about the Avalanche in the pregame show, and for good measure, if you're Colorado and you went through they are now 1-3-1 in their last 5. They had a embarrassing 7-2 home loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins on Monday night. They didn't like their game. Bednar liked their game a lot better in Winnipeg, but they only scored 1 goal. They lost 3-1. Is this better? Are you feeling better about the way your team played if you're the Avs after you get done with this one tonight?
Oh, of course. Yeah, they did better things tonight. They had some chances, and they're going to say, you know what, we play more like that. We're going to get to where we want to go, and they're still going to talk a little bit about on the perimeter, like McKinnon talked about. So they still are, but I think that, coming off that 7-2 game they had the other night, it's a long way from there. So I would think that for the coaches there, and I would think that the conversation after the game too. I'm sure they go into the room and they're going to say, now that's a better game. Now we're going to build on that game. We're going to forget what's behind us. We've got 14, 15 games to go, whatever it is. If we play more of those games, we're going to get our game in order before game 1 of the playoffs.
Isn't it funny, Luds, that the better team in all 3 of these games has lost? Colorado was by far the better team in the second game. Dallas was the better team.
And the road team has won all 3.
Yeah, and Dallas was the better team for most of that last game, and then Colorado was the better team tonight. So it's a toss-up. I mean, they're all shootout games, so it doesn't, it's not really a loss, but still, this better team only got 1 point out of each one.
It's a bit ironic, and especially because from the Dallas perspective, now granted, Jake was, as Lud said, first star by a mile.
Yeah.
They're empty net goal away from being 3-0 against the Avs this year. Look, Lud, you talked about Razor earlier. He has a line where he says the shootout is basically a tie. One team gets the extra point, but he calls it a tie. So if you want to say that, then the teams have tied 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, I think you go back and you can look at some of the saves that the goalies had to make. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess it depends on what locker room and what coaching staff you're in, how they're going to want to sell it to their players, because, at this time of the year, you're trying to sell all good things. This is not the time to get down. You start working on and building on the good things that you do. Yeah,
I think that if you look at the Avs tonight, they're going to be disappointed they lost, but really happy with their overall effort.
Oh,
and if you take that game and you plug in Arturi Lehkonen and Gabe Landeskog, and to a lesser extent Ross Colton and Logan O'Connor, who can make plays as a middle bottom 6 guy and penalty killer, they're going to be dangerous. If you take the Dallas Stars, you plug in Mikko Rantanen and Roope Hintz and Radek Faksa, they're going to be better and more dangerous. It's honestly, the only shame is that this could very well be a second round matchup. I would really like to see these 2 teams set up to at least be a third round and then on, but it's not going to happen as long as Gary Bettman is the commissioner of the NHL. He doubled down or quadrupled down today, saying how much they liked it, because he said, and we could talk about this more later if you want to, but he basically said, how great are our first round matchups? So we have some of the most exciting first round playoffs series in all of the big leagues in the United States, and kind of completely ignoring the fact that he's not rewarding teams for their regular season supremacy. But oh well. All right, so let's do some super chats here.
Hey, Sam, as coordinated as you aren't, you should not be playing around with a pen close to your nose, because you'll end up poking yourself in the eye.
It's a stylus, but you're still right.
Yeah.
Would really like to not see you hurt yourself with a stylus, let alone a real pen. All right, Stars at Night 99 with a Hatcher and a McKinnon. Will McKinnon cry again about who is better? ?
I don't think he's going to cry.
I saw in the chat earlier, Luds, somebody was asking about when is somebody going to deck Nathan MacKinnon with a big hit. And so I thought I'd ask. There's a reason why he doesn't get run over a whole lot in the game.
Yeah, I would think that he's one of the more elusive players in the league, and he can stop on a dime and he can cut back on a dime. So you have to be you almost have to have him run into you, because sometimes it'd be the same thing trying to get a hit on Makar. You know, they play east-west so well, and they can stop and go, and that's the last thing you want to do is kind of put yourself in a position where you're going to go try to play that or put that big hit on somebody, and then they give you the little whoopsie-doo, and next thing you know, they're going in on your goaltender and put one behind them.
And they did. Makar did that. I forget who he did it on. He just pulled the little stop, and whoever it was just circled right past him. Yeah. And not only that, they can not only make you miss, but
I think it might have been like Robertson.
Maybe. I feel like if you run into MacKinnon when he's at full speed, he's probably going to run you over too. You're still not going to get a hit on him.
The next one belongs to I Love Misty 1985 with an Oettinger and a Johnston. By the way, Stars of Night 99. I just realized, well, you did put MacKinnon in your super chat. Maybe that 29 was for Oettinger, but this one for sure from I Love Misty. Holy heck, that was a nail biter, but it also made for an exhilarating win. Of course, does this also mean that once we get to the regular season rematch in Dallas, that we're likely going to be losing in a shootout?
Yep.
I mean, isn't that the rules at this point?
2-1. Then it's all even.
All completely the same. Well, we know that 2-1 will not be the final score of the alumni game after that. There'll be more than 2 goals.
In the first 2 minutes. There
you go. I love it. Thank you to Manu Fan 3, I Love Misty, and Sports Guy Tio. All 3 of them gifted some of the people in the chat tonight 5 DLS Supporters Club memberships. That was very nice of them. Let's go to Jay Scott, Texas. This would be a Lundqvist and a Johnston. Watch the game during a family dinner in Vegas. Time to rock the victory green in VGK, Vegas Golden Knights territory. Go Stars. Attaboy, Jay.
Love that. I think I met Jay at practice recently. Good dude.
Nice. I think I probably told him to go say hi.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And then we have one more. GM Ben, Owen, say chowder. So my normal way of saying it would be chowder. But if you're from New England, you have to say chowder. And he just wanted that for a drop. So there you go. Now you've got me saying chowder. Or you can do the JFK style where you say chowder.
Yeah, that's it. Chowder.
Yeah.
That's when GM Ben's always getting so anal.
Let's put that one on the in the drop list. All right. So I actually think this part of the schedule works out pretty well for the Stars because they haven't had a 2-day off stretch like this it times very well, right? They had it a couple weeks ago. They played a back-to-back Vancouver, Calgary, then had 2 days to get ready for the trade deadline and play Colorado at home. Now they have 2 days off to prepare to play another back-to-back. It's a tough one at Minnesota at home against Vegas.
Vegas isn't playing so well right now. So the Minnesota game, I think I don't think it's going to be a 2-1 game, no. I think that's going to be a little bit more wide open, it seems like to me. But I think it'll be one of those kind of back and forth. It should be a great game.
What do you think about, Sam, the Stars and Wild coming up for I believe it's a 3:00 afternoon game up at St. Paul?
Yeah, I can't find it quick enough, but I was trying to find Jake's stats against the Wild because I think he's going to start in his home state. I know he's been great against them. I couldn't quickly find the.
Oh, I'm good at that. If you can just vamp for a few seconds,
yeah, I'm sure his numbers are great. I know usually the only reason I argue with Luds on the score is because I feel like every time they go in there and Jake plays, it's like 2-1.
Do you want it just in St. Paul, or do you want it for
just
both?
Against the Wild? Actually, yeah, go in St. Paul.
Okay, so in Jake Oettinger's career against the Minnesota Wild in what used to be known as, XL Energy Center, now it's Grand Casino Arena, 8 games. Remember, he came on for that one time he came off the bench. 7 starts. He's 4-1-2 with a 2.09 goals against average and a 929 save percentage. Not shabby.
It's pretty good.
His overall, he's 8-1-3 in 13 starts.
Yeah,
with a 924 save percentage. He's always been good against the Wild.
I'd be shocked if he doesn't play. I think Casey goes against Vegas. One thing I'm hoping to see, I don't know, I'm assuming it's still pretty cold in Minnesota. I think last year or 2 years ago, they practiced outdoors in Minnesota when they had a day off. They have a day off in Minnesota for Friday practice. I hope they go outdoors and do it again. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be fun. Although we know, what was it, Luds, the other day that Wisconsin got 30 inches of snow?
31.
That, I can't even imagine what 6 to 8 inches of snow would be in Dallas, right? It would stop everybody.
City would be shut down for a month.
30, can you imagine?
Short of 30.
But if you got 30 inches in DFW, it would be a catastrophe. And I'm not even being funny. Like they don't have the equipment to deal. It would be crazy, right?
Yeah. They can't handle one.
I know. Well, I think that is probably enough. We are fighting through it here. We appreciate you guys sticking with us tonight. I hope that the nasally sinus stuff doesn't put you off too much, or the fact that Sam is breathing right.
Damn right.
You might want to stay away from the puppy a little bit though, because we can't be getting all carved up. You look like you're being attacked by a Wolverine.
Katie's leaving tomorrow for 4 days, so I'm solo with the puppy. So it's gonna be.
Boy.
I'm gonna look bad on Saturday. I'll tell you that.
That's like
there you go. We have a show tomorrow. We're off on Friday, and then we have the game on Saturday. So 2:00 tomorrow. It'll be Sam, Luds, me. There's a chance that Sean might be on tomorrow's show. I don't know for sure yet, but we will be ready to go, and we will get fired up for Stars and Wild coming up this weekend. It'll be the first time since the Olympics that we will see Quinn Hughes, Billy Guerin, and the Wild. For Sam Nessler, Craig Ludwig, producer Ryan Vaughters, I'm Owen Newkirk. Thanks so much, everybody. The chat was great. Even the intoxicated GM Ben was fun tonight. Don't forget to say chowda. We'll see you here tomorrow, 2:00 on DLLS.